Right, we're back with episode 51 of the Midnight Pod, technically the first ever co-hosted episode with a guest. We have Adam Power. That is your name, isn't it? Second name.
Yes, it is.
Because in traditional fashion, I never researched my guests. It's a small world. You know Lucas, you're on his pod. Lucas has been on the pod like twice.
Yeah.
Came on the first terrible season 2.1 episode with myself and Ollie. But yeah, we're fucking trying a new little format, and we're back on the red wine as well. What is this? A Rioja, Campo something Rioja.
Sainsbury special.
Only one bottle between the three of us, so we'll see how this goes. But I guess the first question, and this is going to be the thing I say in every fucking episode. Who are you? What do you do? We'll dive into everything. We already started chatting about some pretty interesting things off camera just before we started recording, which we can dive into, because I don't think anyone that we've had on has been in that space, like buying brands and shit. But you do a load of things, and you're Irish.
Try.
So it's a good combo.
Well, you're half Irish as well.
Yeah, I'm biased.
Yeah. So yeah, my name is Adam Power, and I am.
Just bring that a bit closer.
I am Irish, as we said, but basically just turned 26, and I started off with my agency and eventually went into buying brands like we've been discussing here, so I'm sure we'll get into that. And also recently launched an education company as well, so basically teaching people how to become freelancers basically inside the Google ads, Facebook ads, email marketing, whatever world they're kind of attracted to. So that's kind of where we're at.
Sick. And going back, did you go to uni? Like standard upbringing?
So
is it correct? Yeah,
standard upbringing. Obviously, you know, no one has a perfect childhood, so nothing was perfect, but never got to uni. Failed. So in Ireland we don't have uni, we have like secondary school, and you go to like you'd go straight to college from there for your degree. So I failed my secondary school, which is high school I suppose. I failed that, and I kind of had like this, you know, when you're like 16 to 20, you're just bouncing around different places trying to figure out life. I kind of had that. I had that period where I was just nothing was going right for that period in my life. So had every job you can think of. So everything instead of uni, basically. Never went to uni.
And that first foot in the door of like ecom and agency, when did that come? And
so
like, because I can't even remember how the fuck I got into ecom. It's like, but everyone's got like some place. They end up falling into some sort of entrepreneurship.
So the ecom kind of fell onto my lap with COVID. Previous to that, I kind of got into the agency world. But in the agency world, I never kind of gravitated towards ecom at all. I was more lead generation, like just working for all local businesses. Do you know what I mean? So because I failed every single job that I've had, say from that 16 to 20 period of my life, my goal was to just, if I can create my own job. So I didn't care what I had to do, it was just creating my own job. And that came with an agency from the OG himself, Ty Lopez. That's how I got started.
Some sweet knowledge.
Working for his agency?
No. I basically got fired from one of my jobs Christmas week, say 2016 or 2017, and I came home and I was like, just jumped on the computer. I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? Came across Ty Lopez. He was like, click for my webinar. Ended up giving him €1,000 for a SMMA course the same day. And that's
did that Lambo ad.
The hair of my garage.
Yeah, fuck. So he bought a course and the rest is history.
Yeah,
it's quite lit to be fair.
But the goal, when I was buying the course, the goal was, because I failed, like when people say like I did a failed job, I failed every job. Like I failed an electrician apprenticeship, I failed like 3 or 4 different factories, I was a forklift driver, I can go on for a while. But so my goal with the course was, when I bought the course, the main thing, I was like, if I can create my own job. So if I was getting paid 30k, and if I can create my own 30k from my computer, 9 to 5 from home, that was like my wildest imagination at that time, in say 2017, 2018. So
it was less like you were like naturally an entrepreneur, you more just fucking hated what you were doing and wanted to do your own thing, and that was like an opportunity.
Well, I don't think I was a natural entrepreneur, but I had potential. I knew I had potential deep down. So when I was in a job and I was late every day, or I was doing fucking up something in work or I was doing something wrong, it was never because I was, not intelligent or anything. It was just I had potential that was not being fulfilled, and I was looking for distraction. So I don't think I was a natural entrepreneur, right? I had massive potential. I knew myself since I was a kid, no matter what I put my mind to, I could do a really good job, but I just could never find something to put my mind to, and then Ty Lopez brought that avenue for me.
So when was this? Like you said, 2017.
2017, yeah. Just
So did
after I
you
turned 20.
Quit your job like straight away? Or, like, what was the timeline from buying the course to this becoming like the reality of making your own money?
So this was the week before Christmas. This could have been 2016. I'm actually unsure. But so I was in a medical device factory that was quite a good paying job at the time for someone who was 20 with no qualification, and they brought me into a room the previous month. They're like, okay, from January next year, you're going to get your long-term, full permanent employment contract. So everyone was like, oh, you made it. You're successful. You're in a factory forever. You've dental care and you've everything, all the benefits that come from a corporate position. But the week before we finished up for Christmas, there was an issue, and as I said, it was a medical device factory, so someone has to get the blame. So I was the youngest guy there. I got fired at that time, and that was say a Wednesday, and I bought Ty's course on a Friday. So I lost my job on a Wednesday.
So you're like back against the wall.
So I got my last paycheck, 2k, 2.5k.
Do you want to remove this dashing?
I've not said anything because he's just been trying to stop him shag my arm.
I could hear something in my ear. I was like, what's he doing over there?
Get out of the room. Yeah, I think he's going to have to go.
Oh no. Because the thing is, if I put him in my room, it just shits.
It's going to have to happen for the great.
I'll just open the door so we can go outside.
No, it might be alright now.
I reckon he'll chill.
He's calm.
I reckon he'll chill.
Anyway, I was going to,
I'll let you chime in. Now you stop being raped by a dog.
So yeah, basically I got fired from that job on a Wednesday, got my last monthly paycheck pre-Christmas, which was say 2 or 2.5k euros, and I bought Ty's course for 1k. I bought like this beat up laptop off a Polish guy for 300 quid. I used that last 2.5k to like to get myself on some sort of track. Like,
Were you living with parents still at this point?
living with parents.
Yeah.
Quite like, I feel like some people get to that point, and I kind of like burn the boats mentality in it. Like you have to, when you get into a position where you have to make it work.
Yeah.
You used to do that you did that to some degree through when you dropped out of uni.
Yeah.
It's like remove your other options and you usually make it work.
Yeah.
But when you have the fallback, it's like you have less motivation because you have that behind you. But how long did it take you to go from buying that course to kind of, I guess, replacing the income from a job and then getting to the point of going from like freelancer to agency? Like, I guess that's a transition in it, where you go from like you doing everything to bringing someone else in.
Yeah. Well, initially I didn't know what those terms even meant back then. Like I didn't know I was a freelancer. I didn't know
some work, get paid.
Yeah. Like I didn't really understand all of that back then.
Yeah.
But when my first client came, so the course was 4 months, and I knew I had to finish the course. I knew I had to build a confidence, because like family members, friends, neighbours, people thought I was crazy. People thought I was, because I was up in my room doing a course every day, and people like, Adam's playing like video games or something, people didn't really get it back then, say 2017. So it was probably, so the course is 4 months. I'd done the course twice in 4 months, and then I started looking for clients. So I'd say it was probably about 6 to 8 weeks after that, so probably 6 months. So I had 6 months of just, even though I was learning the course, what I was more kind of doing is like reprogramming my mind.
Did the course actually teach media buying? Did it teach how to outsource media buying and get customers?
No, I thought actually media buying, but it teaches everything from like an SMMA world, lead gen, landing pages, SEO, websites, everything. It was very broad.
A legit good course.
Yeah, in 2017. Yeah. It was the only thing on the market in 2017. This was before.
I bet he printed some serious money.
Yeah, like before E-Man.
Before the E-Mans of the world, before E-Man and anyone else. Like he was before any YouTuber, basically. Like Ty was that guy in 2017. I think E-Man still was there, but I don't know if he had a course until maybe a year after.
Yeah, I wouldn't say back then.
But yeah, Ty was the only thing on the market. I think he did 50 million from that course. Yeah,
You ran some serious traffic through that
50
Lambo
million.
ad. Some serious traffic.
He's single-handedly responsible for all the cold emails that say, "Quick question, Matthew."
Yeah.
Got all the fucking automated.
But Ty was doing all
SLA
that.
done.
Ty was doing all that fucking well before everyone else was doing it. Like, that's how he kind of got in and got out with all
The
that.
singularity of every info product.
Yeah, it's
Everything
mad.
roots back to Ty.
When
Yeah.
did you start making money then after doing this course?
So
Must have been sweating a bit if you didn't have a job and you're just in your room doing a course.
yeah, it was a bit of a mad time, man.
Yeah.
A bit of a mad time. So 6 months. There was 6 months. No, I didn't make any money for 6 months. I'd work one day here, work one day there in like a bar or something like that. Say my father would have friends that would just say, "Come down here and work for the night" or whatever. So I'd work maybe 2 or 3 nights a month in a bar. But besides that, no, I was just studying, learning, trying to figure things out, and that was like a 6 month period of like
Self-education,
yeah,
reprogramming.
it got a bit tough, but
Yeah,
I had to
I can
reprogram myself because I wasn't prepared for anything previous to that, like, you know. So
Is that how you started?
Well, obviously I got a bit of a leg up doing stuff with you in terms of like general knowledge, and then we bought an info product, off Jordan Plant. We actually started using YouTube, and we got a decent amount of success and got some clients again, because I think I'd learned a bit more than most about media buying and like more like broad ecom, which allowed you to talk to founders a little bit better than someone who'd just come from a normal course through what we did with Dusk and stuff. But then we bought a course, it just kind of expedited the process and went from there. But I do think a lot of that early stage is like learning the mindset side though. Mindset, reprogramming, confidence.
Escaping the matrix.
yeah, escaping. Well, going from like uni or say high school, college in Ireland, we call it, like, to going out on your own. It's unheard of. Like, it's not common at all.
I was gonna say
It's not very entrepreneurial culture, is it, Ireland?
It's
Seen that in like my cousins and shit.
behind here.
It's getting.
Obviously, there's companies like Wayflower and shit. Shout out Jack. But
Yeah.
I think it's probably a bit like Europe. I feel
I
like
could be wrong in that, but it definitely feels less entrepreneurial than certainly London.
Yeah.
And even London's way behind like America, obviously.
Yeah. Ireland would be a bit behind London. Yeah. But yeah, it's catching up a little bit. Like,
I'd say
it's getting better.
Goes like America first, definitely, then probably here, and it's even with ecom. Like, you can rip American
Estonia's
stores.
mad, though, isn't it? I was watching a documentary on the Bolt founder, like a
Is it from
15-minute doc on YouTube.
Did not know that.
He's like 28-year-old billionaire.
There is some decent, like, obviously
Mad tech
entrepreneurs
stuff.
in Europe, but if you look at how you can take an ecom store from America, change it into German, and run it up in Germany, it just like
Yeah.
so much less competitive because it's
Yeah.
less of a culture, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Australia is pretty e-com entrepreneurial.
It is, but it's slow and pretty like they
Yeah.
just don't like work as much because they love. I feel like America and Europe and the UK, you kind of live to work, whereas in Australia, it's like you work to live.
It's probably the right way around, isn't it?
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
this world
it's
is
kind of-
fucking depressed
same
and
in,
chasing
like-
money.
Same in like Spain and Italy in some ways, like way more like
Oh,
siestas
Spain
and
is
like
completely different, yeah.
laid back, which is weird.
When I lived in Barcelona for 3 months, they wouldn't open coffee shops on Mondays till 11 a.m.
Yeah.
You're like, how the fuck do I work? I'm trying to get Wi-Fi. Like, it's mad.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very laid back, man. Very laid back. But the US is obviously just ahead of
Everything,
everybody else, like, easily, you know.
So how did it look going from you get a first client, like how did you come about that, and how long was it until you maybe had a few clients and you felt like you were actually fucking making it work?
So obviously in the course, Ty has all these, you know, cold email approaches and DMs and all this type of stuff, but I was saying to all of my friends and people in my network, I'm doing internet marketing at home, is what I was calling it at the time. I was like, I'm doing digital marketing, internet marketing. I was like, tell your boss in work I can help bring them more customers. And I said, if you can set me up with your boss in a meeting and they sign a contract, I'll give 50% of the first month over to them. So people were passing on my details to their boss, and one of my friends set me up a meeting with his boss, and she was like, let's go. And I think my first client was 400 a month, and that was for like everything, like Facebook ads, like content creation, email marketing, everything, 400 a month. But that was just the vehicle I needed to just get the confidence to onboard a client, send a report, send an invoice, whatever the case may be, you know. So first client there. A month later, then got a second client, and a third, and then I kind of got my first like 4-figure client, which really kind of, that was just big money for me back then. So
He's getting rowdy again, not gonna lie. You might have to go.
Should I remove? Do you want? You keep speaking. I'll remove the rapist dog.
Yeah, I feel like confidence builders, those first ones, isn't it? We did a free trial for our first one. It was just like get it in the door, learn like how to deliver the results, and then the confidence comes from there.
yeah,
And you have a bit of confidence in what you're actually selling
yeah.
and your ability to sell it, and you undersell yourself pretty heavy early on. But I don't even think it's bad, because it's like you are technically selling people on something you've not actually done that much before.
Yeah, well, that's what I say to people. Like, you have to be transparent in your first client. Just be like,
Yeah.
this is my first time doing this. I'm
do it for free.
I'm probably not going to do an amazing job, but I'm going to go above and beyond for a low fee, and then just get them in the door. Because then that, just the simple confidence of onboarding a client, sending them their first month's report, having a catch up call,
Yeah,
just all that, just builds such massive confidence. You know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely. So
the first client is the hardest, but it's what people need to just get done, bite the bullet,
definitely.
you know.
So from there to how many people have you got now? To skip forward quite heavily.
How many clients?
Yeah, well, no, people as in like size of business in terms of like team. From there to now.
Overall, it's just under 20. I'm not sure. Yeah, but yeah, 17, 18.
Then when did you start branching off from there to e-com? How long's like basically when you start doing other things, I guess, outside
We
of that?
moved forward 5 years when I
Yeah,
was
just jump
removing
forward
the
5
rapist dog.
Big jump.
Yeah. So as I said, all my first kind of network of clients were all just pretty random, like
Yeah.
barbershop, restaurant, cafe, bar. Then I had like an optician, which was my first high ticket client. So we're doing like lead gen and stuff with them. And then what happened was I was kind of working with another guy, and he referred me over to an e-com brand. We drove up to Dublin, where Matt's from, and
My dad is from, just to clarify.
drove up to Dublin to meet, and he was like, okay, let's give it a try. Again, small 4-figure fee, and he gave me a budget, and we came back like 40x the budget, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? So that's when my first taste of e-com came. And then I was like, obviously I'd lost interest in all the bars and restaurants. Then I was like, I need more e-com clients. So that was 2019, I'd say. Probably 6 months before COVID, I was kind of 50% e-com, 50% more local business. And then COVID came. I lost 50% of my business, 50% of my clients overnight. And then over the next 30 days, we just took on so many more e-com clients when the COVID boom came. So,
That for social and Google?
sorry.
Is that for like Facebook and Google?
So yeah, that was going back. That was just Facebook at the time. We were just Facebook, Instagram ads at the time, and a lot of our clients started requesting Google. So they're like, okay, this is going really, really well. How can we, for example, get more growth? And they started inquiring about Google. So I ended up meeting with a guy who was previously employed by Google in Cork. And he was like, we can start offering Google ads to these clients. So we tried it with 1, tried it with 2, started going really, really well, and we ended up working together full time. We started building out the Google team with the Facebook team, and then at that time we were offering basically paid traffic at that time then. So TikTok wasn't really 2019, 2020. TikTok was not really. TikTok was only kind of just getting started back then. So yeah, mainly Facebook, Google. Now we do everything: email marketing, SMS, Snapchat, Pinterest, TikTok.
And you said it's 20 people. I missed that bit. That's walking back in.
Yeah, 20 people. Yeah.
The same size as you, is it?
We've
Similar?
got 28.
No, they have more. They have way more.
28 in one and then 15 in the other.
That's not just the age. That's the brand as well. Like we employees in the brand as well.
Yeah, so coming on to the brands, I don't know what I fucking missed, but so wait, so you've got the
I didn't
agency.
miss much. I
You
just
didn't
asked
miss
one
much.
question. You only went for 40
When did the
seconds.
brand start?
So
I guess you've just kind of started moving on to that part.
yeah, so obviously when I was doing that 6-month period of trying to reprogram my mind, I kind of never came off that. So I would always watch Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone. I would just go down YouTube rabbit holes, as they say, like most days of the week. So I kind of just stumbled across in my move from Ty Lopez. I started studying Grant Cardone. So he obviously started talking about like investing and trying to get yourself ahead and thinking bigger and all this type of stuff. So I just kept stacking cash, kept saving everything I could, and an opportunity came to invest, and someone said to me that they were selling their brand. Would I know anyone who was interested? And I goes, let's jump on a call. This was actually literally this week last year. This was this week last year, 2021. And we jumped on a call and discussed the fee, and 4 days later we sent them the money and bought the brand. So I kind of just...
What brand is that?
That's Zenchi jewelry store.
Oh, is that the one that's the Sonichi competitor?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna get slapped on the wrist tomorrow. Right, so you never started a brand?
I never...
Right, okay, fine.
So this is another story,
This is
right?
why it's interesting, because we've never had anyone that's done this.
So no, I'd started 2 brands, but they both flopped.
Oh, okay.
One was at Lucas,
that-
actually. Me and Lucas
was-
started
oh,
a
you
What
clothing
time
brand.
was that then?
Sorry.
When were the brands that you started? And what sort of brands were they?
End of 2019 I started a clothing brand. It was going to be called Script, and that just went for
Lucas has never told me about
went
this.
south.
He must be embarrassed by the story.
Is
that by itself? Was that with Lucas?
this is by myself, yeah.
Oh, really?
Why did it go badly? Because we had a clothing brand. Fucking-
Just bad samples, bad
It's a complex
design, bad branding.
You didn't know what you're doing.
No, it was just going worse. It was just getting worse as it was going. So that kind of flopped. Lost a couple of K, like nothing major. And then say probably about 6 to 12 months later, I was starting another brand. So sorry, I invested in another clothing brand that didn't go too well either. And then my mind was set in a clothing brand. So I started getting into building another clothing brand, and Lucas was involved in that with me.
What was that one called?
That was called Elysian. We were going to call it Elysian Clothing.
How has he never told me this?
What sort of clothing?
Like,
Was it like spicy?
no, it was like
Is
men's.
that term?
It was like men's, like, you know, I'm trying to think of an example brand, like Legend London style brand.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit spicy.
Yeah, so- not quite. I know what you mean. Like halfway between like Sick Silk and Represent, maybe.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
sort of the middle ground.
Icon Amsterdam type style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that went south. And as I said,
was that because you couldn't make it? You couldn't like generate momentum, or you had momentum and then you fucked something up?
couldn't generate momentum.
think it was
Couldn't
all-
generate momentum.
I think-
We couldn't decide on the branding, couldn't decide on the name, the website, the style,
gonna
the
say.
supplier. Just nothing was going right.
Yeah, like
So
clothing.
I'm clueless on starting a brand. I don't know how to start a brand. So that's when I started saving all the money, stacking the cash, and when an opportunity came, which firstly was Zenchi, and I had the funds there, I was like, yeah, this is my.
But had you always planned on getting involved in a brand, either as well as or instead of the agency, because you just thought it was interesting, or what? Like you obviously run an agency.
Yeah.
There's definitely more cash flow, at least initially, in an agency than there is in a brand, especially starting a brand.
Yeah, I mean, like both. So when we were fully in ecom with the agency, we were helping we were just talking to the clients about everything outside of the paid traffic or the email marketing or the Facebook ads, whatever. We'd be always talking about supply chain, 3PLs, UGC, Shopify stores. Like we'd always just be trying to connect the dots for everyone. Try going above and beyond. So in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, like I'd be quite confident to scale a brand myself. And like through COVID, we were like, and still to this day, we're doing mega fucking revenue for some brands. So I was like, it just made more sense for me to transition into having my own brand. And because I flopped 2 brands when trying to start them, I was like, when the opportunity came, it just made total sense to start investing in buying brands. And that's what we've been doing for the past, say, 12 months.
Do you think clothing's a hard one, man? Like it really, unless you've got a proper vision. Like you have to have a
Yeah.
vision for a brand. There's so many.
Yeah.
I was reading a tweet thread the other day, and it's someone had like tagged loads of them. There's so many clothing brands with nothing about them on. You see
I
about
could
3 a
name
day
10 right now.
So could I.
that you just see, and you're like, what is the
Yeah.
thought? What is the vision behind this? It's
And
just the
now
same
jewellery, I
sample.
think. Jewellery's following the same path.
Jewelry's going the same way. Or there's just like, yeah, there's just so many brands. It's just a logo and nothing else about it. There's nothing
Yeah.
behind it. Whereas the ones
It's
that
like
are good,
white label t-shirt with a logo.
the ones
Yeah.
that are good have like creative vision or creative, like someone creative.
You've got to
that-
be a fashion designer.
Yeah.
You can't just be a brand owner trying to sell clothes.
It's also complex. It's a complex niche. So-
Sizing, SKUs,
yeah, it's just
shipping,
complex.
like,
So I can see why it's hard.
it's not for me.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a lot easier, like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
I was just going to say that, yeah. If it's starting a clothing brand in 2016,
You got the Geordie Shore wave,
So
Hera
easy.
London, Jim
Yeah.
King. There's a load of them, but
Yeah,
those
the
two come
Legend
to mind.
Londons.
Yeah, brands like that.
Yeah,
so yeah, like they got on at a very, very good time. But they start that now, you need
Yeah,
to
it was
make
so-
it.
I also think that part of the market where it's like basic t-shirts with an embroidered logo doesn't exist anymore
No.
to the same extent.
No.
People have moved on to like represent Cole Buxton, whatever it is, like
or more
slightly
like,
higher end, like
yeah,
just
quality.
more like quality over quantity.
Or
Because
like-
fast fashion is slowly dying to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other side is like you have the ones which have got a creative vision behind, like Nude Project. They're massive
Yeah.
brands.
Yeah.
Like, they've got like personality.
All the retro sports brands are massive now.
Yeah, they're massive, like which are quite sick, but it's hard.
Yeah.
So then you bought. I forgot what it said. I don't want to butcher its name.
Zenchi.
Zenchi. And it's-
Zenchi, yeah. I bought Zenchi, yeah, this literally this week last year.
Why did the founder sell it?
He was he was on to me about the month before. He was going to sell it. I can't remember why. He just kind of needed something different. I think he was starting 2 new brands, one with his partner and one another brand he was kind of more passionate about. And he just wanted to change. He just wanted to get away, wanted a new brand. So he was just kind of putting the feelers out there, and yeah, just kind of made sense.
And why did you buy that over something else? Were you looking at other brands?
No, I wasn't. I
Or
was waiting.
that
I
just
was
opportunistic.
I was just saving all the money I could and waiting for opportunity to come.
We're
That's
saying
the first
it,
one that came.
jewelry's a good niche. If you can get it going,
Yeah.
it's a good niche to be in because it's like margin, it's just beautiful in it. And that must have been right. I've seen, I definitely more so a few months ago. I saw a lot of TikTok ads for that brand. I feel like that must have
Yeah.
been right when TikTok started
Yeah,
moving, which is almost like
yeah,
getting on that platform early with the right brand was like enough leverage, and it's just the platform to get it to a pretty decent spot, I'd imagine.
yeah,
So I guess that's like the perfect mix of brand and like platform
yeah,
alignment, which is good.
yeah. The brand as well. I mean, like, there's kind of got a bit more plans for 2023 with the brand. So, yeah.
What was the process like taking over? Like obviously picking up all of the operations behind it.
I underestimated that massively.
Yeah, I can imagine it's complex.
Yeah, massively. A brand sounds a lot easier. It's just like, oh, you build a Shopify store, you sell a product. It sounds a lot easier than it is,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's very, very hard. So we had to build out the team for that. So that's where the sister company came. Whereas the marketing agency is Powered Media, whereas the sister company is Powered Brands. So Powered Brands owns all the brands we have now, and there's a team in there that you know each.
A lot of similarities to Conor Martin here.
Well,
He was just telling me that on
You're
the way
getting
there.
that? You're getting those vibes.
well, Connor's
was-
a bit different, but
Similar setup, similar background, Irish.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a bit different because it's
Must be
like
something in the war over there.
You would know me, you're from
Yeah.
there.
I got the bug as well.
yeah, I can imagine taking over ops from another person's complex.
Yeah, very, very complex. So I had to get it over to a 3PL in Belfast as well. Yeah, tough. A lot of hard work. And that was being done over like Christmas last year. So everyone's order was late. With the refund, thousands of people. It was a tough.
Was there any shit to fix in that brand? Like, was it like broken in any area, or was it just like good operation?
Yeah, it was a good operation. Definitely, lot of stuff to fix. Like, kind of the supply chain was spread out a lot, so that was a lot of extra headache. And then just a couple of other bits, but nothing that was too major. Like the band was working with Wayflyer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, nothing too major. But
And how many brands now?
how many brands do we have?
Yeah, I guess the timeline in terms of the brands that you've bought or started. You said you haven't started any.
No,
apart
I've
from the
never
two that
started one.
flopped.
No. So now we have 4 brands.
And what are they?
Um,
What are you secretive about them?
His
No.
Instagram bio.
Oh, is
there's Zenchi was the first. Gym Goddess was the second.
What's that, clothing?
Yeah, female fitness. Irish brand, another good brand. The third was A Girl to Die For, female fashion brand, and the fourth was Tig. Tig was a recent one. Tig was only the last 60 days.
So why 4 brands instead of focusing on one? Because this is I've done the multiple brands thing, well 2 at a time,
Yeah,
and more prior to that, and I just came to the conclusion that for me I need to focus on one.
yeah.
But obviously there's a lot of people that run groups.
But you have your passion behind your brand, like so. Like my
I think I do now. Yeah, didn't in
Yeah.
the past as much.
but my passion is about building a group. Like
Yeah,
so, I'm not passionate about jewelry. I'm not passionate about gym gear. Like
Yeah.
I'm not passionate.
Women's fashion.
I'm not passionate about that. I'm passionate about growing something of value, like something of value that has a 10, 12, 18, 20 year vision. That's where my passion comes.
Did they all come to you in the same way? Did they all come to you like almost opportunistic purchases through your agency? Or did you seek out them?
Kind of, yeah. Kind of just through networking. It all just kind of happened, you know?
Yeah.
It all just kind of happened in a period of time. And just people inquiring, people like, how do you own a brand? And I was saying, oh, look, this is kind of my plan. They're like, oh, I might be interested in that. Or this person owns this brand, they might be interested in speaking to you about that. Or that sounds perfect.
Yeah.
I've turned away like 5 or 6 brands since then, because if you think about it, there's a lot of people out there who have an amazing product, a really good brand, but they don't know nor have the massive budgets to get an agency behind to do everything and put budgets into Instagram, Meta, Facebook, or Google, TikTok, email marketing, UGC, creative, everything, whereas we can do all that and be their partner. Do you get me? So it people have been coming to me with that as well the past couple of months as well, and I've been kind of saying I can't take on anymore right now, obviously, but
yeah. I always wanted to run a brand group, Infinity 85. Still got the domain. That was kind of what I was planning on doing, and then went tits up, and now I'm selling mushrooms. But I think for me,
why did they go tits up?
Well, the fucking story about
Neil
Neil Beach,
Beach.
Or were those brands underneath?
the same company.
Yeah.
What were they underneath? The Infinity? What do you call it? Infinity?
Well, they're under MK Brands Limited, but yeah, that's
Okay.
number one.
Yeah.
Don't put a profitable, successful jewelry brand under the same company as a fucking Chad scale nightmare.
Yeah.
But I've already lost enough sleep over that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The Chad Twitter world, man.
it's funny you say you're shit at starting brands though, because I think I'm arguably one of the best people, the best person I've ever met at starting brands.
Yeah, you're great
Yeah.
at 0 to 1.
I honestly think you put me in a room 6 months with some money, I can get any brand to $1 million plus, any brand that,
Yeah.
that I've created from scratch. Like even if it's tampon
Yeah.
brand. Like what I've been less good at in the past is getting past the bedroom brand stage of like 5 million in revenue. I guess Neon got to like 8 mil, which is still pretty big, but
It's different.
Midnight City got to like 3 mil run rate, which is good.
It's just a
But then
vastly different
it was a
skill
combination of I got bored, but also I never really built out the infrastructure to go to like 10 mil plus,
Yeah.
which is what I'm now definitely confident I can do.
Yeah.
But it's taken me fucking like 5 years in the trenches to figure that out a little bit more.
set. It's like I can't remember who said it, but it's like every 12. If in a growing business, every 12 months your job title changes entirely.
Yeah.
That's definitely what happens. Like what goes. I said this on the last episode. I think what takes you from like 0 to 1 doesn't take you from 1 to 5, doesn't take you from 5 to 10. Needs completely different skill sets in every business. I feel you should have just stayed at like make brand flip it. Like maybe that could have been.
Nah, because it can't have a like big impact. Just
Yeah, you can.
one point quickly, and
You
I
should just be the guy. Take brands from 0 to 5 mil and then hand it off to a group.
yeah.
That should be your key. That should be your key.
Well, I could definitely do that, but then,
But why? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah, go on. You're gonna say something.
I was going to say, why do you think that it kind of? Do you think that there's a ceiling that comes What's stopping you from that ceiling?
Well, it's funny because Jimmy Hill, who's one of my investors and good mate now, probably the fucking richest cunt that's been on this podcast, like proper money. He says he thinks the hardest part is 0 to $1 million, and I was like, oh, well, I've done that 3 times before, and I've done it again with this brand. Like, okay, if that's the hardest part, then fucking I just need to stick with it a bit longer. So to answer your question, yeah, why? I think in the past, probably mainly because I wasn't sure it was what I wanted to work on long term. So it was more just like, oh great, I've got a finance supercar, I live in a fucking penthouse, life's mint.
Yeah.
I wasn't really thinking like long term. Then you get a bit older and you're like, even if I had all the money in the world, but still want to work on something. So then it's more like, what would I work on then that I'm more passionate about? So I definitely think what I'm doing now is more aligned with that. But also just experiencing it. Like I realised that doing multiple things at the same time for me didn't work. So now I've just set everything up like very differently.
Yeah. And what's the move then? Do you have a plan to avoid the mistakes that were made the previous time?
Yeah, I mean, the first mistake is don't run a fucking custom B2B neon sign business. It's like
have a bedroom on your
yeah,
own.
like don't scale to $1 million a month with 40 Filipino freelancers and not a single experienced person. Like that was the only problem. Midnight City was a good business. I just wasn't interested in it.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, just don't give a shit about jewelry. It was becoming really competitive. I was quite early in that space in the UK, but
yeah,
could have been crafted London. Just wasn't meant to be.
I remember that brand, man.
Yeah,
it was printing for a while.
I miss her. It was printing. 2020 summer, he was running the ads. We were fucking printing.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, that was nice little margins on that.
You were going to segue a minute ago, and you probably forgot what you were going to say.
Oh yeah, it was. So the point about getting to that next stage, which we were kind of saying before. So I've been speaking to loads of investors and funds and shit. Particularly funds is the interesting point in like the past 2 weeks, which in itself is like a full-time job. I actually quite enjoy it. And it's funny because one of the questions I ask is like, firstly, I think the numbers I'm doing now are fucking tiny because in my head they are, because I've done way bigger numbers in the past. But they're all like, oh my God, you've actually got to 7 figures in revenue with no employees and you don't have an office. And I'm like, what do you mean do I have a fucking office? Like, we're doing tiny numbers. Why do I have an office? And then they're like, oh, well, X, Y, and Z business has got 10 employees. They've raised 5 times the money you raised and they're doing less than half of the revenue. Oh, and the founder's got an MBA. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's why. Because they're not hustlers. They're operators that think you need to have loads of fixed costs. It's just funny how different people, and I'm thinking of a few brands I'm not going to say.
I know a really famous UK-based brand just bought an office in Brixton. They have 50 staff and the office is like 50k a month and they're not profitable.
Yeah. So it's just funny because like they'll look at me working from home and think like, they think it's cool, but like a bit of them you can tell things like, oh, this kid doesn't know what they're doing. They need an office and a C-suite. But I'm like, fuck, I think I could get to 20 million from this kitchen with no employees. But then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you need to look professional to be doing good things. There's probably a balance in between. Like, yeah, I probably at some point would be better to not just have freelancers and shit.
I think it gets to a point where you're going to.
But it's just funny depending on who you speak to, because all like the Twitter econ bros or whatever are doing fucking way bigger numbers than half these venture-backed businesses, and they don't have a single employee. Well. Yeah, it's just really interesting.
Yeah, but is that would like other people? It's kind of different structure for an exit. Then it's kind of direction you want to go with the brand. Really, do you think so?
Yeah. So this is another thing I think about a lot. We spoke about on the previous episode. Is that there is definitely a big difference I've noticed, and especially speaking to like these investors and shit, who ultimately are the people that would either help you get to that massive scale, probably, or would end up buying you. And it's like a completely different conversation. It's all about like most of these brands that sell for like 100 mil, they're not even profitable. That's just a fact. Not all of them. There are exceptions, but
strategic.
all the, like the
or they could be two. They could have a 1% margin.
Yeah,
it's enterprise value, isn't it? Like the buying the value.
I would much rather be a founder that owns a loss-making business that someone views as valuable, is worth 100 million quid, than be the founder that is showing off by his 30% net margins, but he makes 300 grand a year and he's never going to make more than that.
Yeah.
And they're just very different things.
Yeah.
And if you start at the end, which my plan with this brand is to build it and sell it. Like everything I'm doing is ultimately like towards that. Even like this funding round, don't necessarily need to do it, but it's part of the strategic path to get to the point where you could sell.
Yeah.
And there's loads of intricate details as to why that's the case and shit. I'm not going to go into that, but yeah, I just think it's interesting.
But do you think that the investors that you're speaking to, when they're saying, "Oh, you should have the office and you should have the staff," like when you're looking for the sale, whoever's going to buy it,
that's partly why
they want to buy that system that
they
you
want
have.
something
They don't want.
you're not required.
They won't buy. Like if you're running the brand from your kitchen, they won't buy you.
Yeah.
If you get me.
Like why agencies.
Yeah, I mean at this stage, it's 7 months old. Like they're buying into like the founder and the vision basically. But yeah, ultimately, if it was in 5 years' time, and you were still the one at the helm, wouldn't be worth very much, would it? Because the second you go, you fucking disappear.
Or you'd get bought on the basis that you stayed for 3 to 5 years, which you don't want to do.
And
Yeah.
that
Like-
goes south more times than it
It's
doesn't.
why agencies get low multiples. It's because a lot of agencies
Yeah.
are very tied to the founder. If you take the founder out, they're absolutely like, well, unless you've built it in the right way, so you're removed. But a lot of agencies within like a certain bench threshold of revenue.
Yeah.
I guess you're both in a similar position in the sense that you're involved in brands and agencies. But if you had to pick one right now, you have to sack the other, agency or the brands, what would it be and why?
Right now, I would sack the brands because obviously the agency funded all the brands. Like the agency is where everything is, kind of the foundation of everything. So if I sacked that off, I'd be unemployed in no time.
So what's the logic and long-term vision with the brands? Is that to build, like we were saying, enterprise value rather than necessarily like
Enterprise
cash flow in the here and now?
Cash flow for the initial phase. For 3 out of the 4. So I take away and stuff like that from Zenchi, but the rest is everything's going back in. And the rest. So basically just treat the companies like real estate, like, you know, keep building them up and, you know, getting them every single year, having everything in the green, bigger brands, collabs, everything exciting about building a brand, you know, but then having the agency being the main thing.
Agencies are cash flow businesses, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Without
why
the
every
agency,
fucking cunt on Instagram runs an agency.
yeah.
I wouldn't sack the agency because I don't own the brands. It's a bit of a different question.
Well, I guess if you had to pick one just out of hypothetical preference, would you say the same?
I don't know. I think both have pros and cons. I like building the agency.
They definitely both have pros and cons.
Very
Yeah.
removed from the agency though, like very removed.
Like if money was no object, I reckon most people would say brand.
Brand,
Would they not?
brand.
Surely it would.
If I was very passionate about the brand, like I enjoy working on the ecosystem we're working on right now because I can see where it's going
Yeah.
with Connor, and that whole business can be ridiculous if we get it right over the next like 5 years with the 3PL, the brands.
Well, it's a baby hug group, isn't it?
That's what we're trying to build, yeah. And I think it can do that. I think if we make the right strategical hires, build the right infrastructure, launch the right brands, it can definitely do that. Because I think once you got
The Jack Group can buy space goods.
once you got the right processes and systems in place, like it's still you can still apply the same formulas to brands. Like it's not, you don't change that much about it. You change the products, you change the content, and you change like the vertical and obviously tone of voice and all you change the brand itself, but you don't change the infrastructure behind how you grow it.
Yeah. And if you have the SOPs from like
An agency.
from the agency, but also in the brand from A to Z, in regards to you have your team of designers, you have your supply chain, you have everything else.
Yeah, that's what I
Then
mean.
you can just keep scaling them up. Ty Lopez does that as well. Like he's after buying.
He bought Radio Shack.
Ty Lopez after buying like 15 mega fucking brands, like Radio Shack, Pier 1. Pier 1 was like nearly $1 billion brand.
That was mad. Radio Shack is a weird one. They're proper old school, aren't they? They pivoted all to like.
But they weren't doing great ecom wise, so he brought them onto ecom, and he's just scaling them all up now. So that's obviously Ty's a very smart guy, so he thought that through. So
it must be a good move.
Do you think you'll keep running the agency as long as this plan for the brand group, or is that just a here and now thing and it's what got started?
The agency?
Yeah.
No, I'll always run the agency, man. Like, the agency is when I wake up in the morning, between the first couple of hours of my day is all agency. Mentally thinking, checking, looking at stuff, whatever. Whereas the brands are always secondary. Like, I'm just mentally and emotionally attached to the agency because I put so much into it, so I don't think I'd ever be able to sell it. Whereas, and you're probably the same.
I find it rewarding, the agency. I find it rewarding from two folds. You got the people.
Yeah.
Like, we train everybody from scratch. I find it quite rewarding, like upskilling people, giving people opportunity, having people who want to be there, like building a place where people want to come and work and actually enjoy it, and then also having a massive impact on businesses that wouldn't be able to get to the stage to get to without you.
Yeah.
You're different. Like, you could run your brand up to like a couple of like 10-15 mil just yourself, but there's a lot of business owners that start a business out of a passion and have no idea how to get it to the potential that it actually has. So I find it quite rewarding from that side, and obviously it's more of a lifestyle business. Like, if you build an agency right, it shouldn't really need you past a certain point at all.
Yeah.
Like, you should be
That's
able
where,
to,
that's where you're at, isn't
you
it?
should be able to jump out
Yeah.
the window and nothing happen. Like,
Do
so
you ever go to the office?
yeah, I go to the office like every month or like every couple of months. But
Every couple of months.
we've got to see it. But
As if that's often.
I'm still involved in the day to day, but I'm more involved on like
You're just involved in like overseeing and checking everything.
not even overseeing, like more like marketing. Like most of my function now is trying to bring deals to the agency. Like, we've got a COO who runs all of our hiring processes,
Yeah.
client success, client fulfillment.
Yeah.
I speak to him twice a week.
Yeah.
He gives me reports. I work more on, like, obviously built a bit of a personal brand that brought us loads of deal flow.
A personal brand agency now.
Yeah, I'm working one. Yeah,
fucking
that's
fraud.
working as well. LinkedIn, I hate it, but great for deals.
Yeah, this is the thing. If I just fucking
Proper sellout.
sold my
It's
soul and
sellout.
sucked dick a bit more, I'd fucking like my personal brand would just make so much money, but I just don't care.
Honestly, just tell the story on LinkedIn with a bit of like.
I just cannot be one of these
and a
cunts
bit
that
of
just
cringe.
makes thread how I went from like
yeah.
bat in a
everywhere.
cave to millionaire in 6 months. Like, it's such bollocks.
That's why I had to get
Yeah.
someone else
It's
to
just
write
not
it
my
for me.
brand.
They don't. I don't
It's
even,
not me.
They like approve them. Like, I don't even want to read them. Just post them and just see what happens. Just,
Does your team do that for you?
no, I
Yeah.
use this other guy. He's pretty good actually at what he does.
Everyone sells their
But
authenticity.
like, you have to write cringe to get success on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is the
LinkedIn
platform
is painfully
of the humble
virtue
brag.
signaling these days.
The humble brag.
I literally go on it. It's like Facebook these days.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But like, somehow more accepting. And
Yeah.
so like, I just like,
It's because it's a professional network, so no one can write hate.
I find it easier letting someone else write about me in a cringy format than me trying to do it myself.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, do it. But yeah, that's mainly my function in the agency. Is obviously I still get involved because I like working with the team, but it's mostly like strategic and like
Yeah.
more top level, which is good. Because that also means that you could sell it because you're not as involved.
Do you think it is sellable? I've never quite
Definitely.
understood the argument that you can sell an agency for big money. I just don't get it.
You can.
What are you selling?
I met an agency
You-
owner.
you-
The client list that can cancel next month.
No, it's all about like retainer, contract lengths, how diversified. Like, if you've got an agency where 75% of your revenue comes from one client, you've not got an agency you could sell. But if
Yeah.
you've got an agency
Yeah.
with 100 clients that all pay you X amount a month, it's quite diversified risk. If they're on 12-month contracts, it's tangible. A lot of the time, if you sell an agency,
Yeah.
you'll have to stay on for 12 to 18 months to see over the transition. That's just
Even
the
more than
business you're
even
in.
3
Yeah.
years.
Sometimes more. But I met an agency owner the other day who sold his business for between 30 and 50 million in 4 years after starting it, and it was an agency.
What are the numbers?
80 employees. Don't know about revenue numbers.
30 mil
Who
for an
bought it?
agency. That's big.
Who bought it?
Grayscale, a much bigger agency. Like, usually
Yeah.
you sell agencies to PE.
Yeah.
It's never. You never really sell it to another agency. You sell it to a PE who will roll it, who will like give an agency or like cash to acquire other agencies. Then they'll roll them up into a bigger entity,
Yeah.
and then get efficiency across them by sharing resource, and then obviously get bigger portfolio, bigger network,
Yeah.
and be able to upsell them onto different services and stuff.
Or like what you'd see as well is, like, let's say for example, a massive paid traffic agency would acquire a creative agency,
Yeah, you see a
and
lot of that.
they'd offer creative to their already existing clients. So they'd buy that system that the creative agency has, so that they can diversify themselves as an agency.
There's some ridiculously big agencies out there.
Do you have plans to sell the agency?
Nah, it's not built for an exit or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't think.
Is that because you just haven't bothered to
It's
build
never,
that?
yeah, it's the agency itself has never really crossed my mind for an exit.
Just a cash flow vehicle.
Yeah. Ours is probably built to sell, because I think it's nice. It's good to build a business to sell because it makes you more efficient. But it's like I wouldn't sell it unless I might sell it much further down the line. But
Yeah.
it's
Someone
like,
offered you 5 mil cash, would you sell it?
probably, yeah. It's not worth. I probably
Money
wouldn't get
talks
Wouldn't
fast.
get 5 mil for it. Don't know.
But it's definitely easier to sell a brand than it is an agency.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, you're relying a lot on people in the agency, and
Yeah, you will.
if the founder and the owner leaves and the team don't like the new management, they just it could just go south straight away.
There's a lot of ways to increase agency, like similar with I've been thinking about this a lot. Is like, how do you increase? Because we've obviously got the other agency which we do want to sell, the TikTok one.
You want to sell that?
I want to sell
actively now.
like not now, like within the next 2-3 years if we get it big enough. Because I think that's quite a good, in my mind, that's quite a good strategic buy for a big agency. If we can, we've got really good relationships with TikTok, some PE firms. We've got like really good like market share in that vertical. It's quite a simple business. It just does one thing. I feel like it would be a good strategic buy for a big agency,
Yeah,
or even like a medium-sized agency, to get it to. But like the same agency guy I met, I had a really long chat with him about like his focus on like how do you increase the enterprise value of your agency. There's quite a lot of ways. So they built an internal SaaS which gave, when you do something like that, it instantly increases your multiple by like 2-3. And there's a lot of ways you can do that from an agency position. Like you get a lot of access to data, you get a lot of access to, like we've got
Download all your clients' customer list.
yeah, just one big CSV in Google Drive. No, we don't do that. Like even like for a TikTok agency, our creator network is obviously unique to us. Like that's an asset.
that's very
massive
unique,
asset. If
Yeah.
I want to pivot that to being like, instead of it just being a network, like it's like a rated network by niche. So like
Yeah,
these are the best creators for this niche.
yeah.
These are the best creators for that niche.
That's huge value.
Massive
there.
asset.
Massive, yeah.
If you want to launch a brand and you already have that. It's like an instant.
It's like a UGC marketplace.
Yeah, internally. So there's ways as an agency you can increase value beyond just getting more clients. But there's also ways you can do that with an e-com brand by getting
Yeah.
MRR or getting like patents.
Yeah,
Yeah, like sales channels.
Yeah.
Like I spoke to an investor the other day. They were like,
wholesale.
we won't look at brands if they're just D2C.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like
It's
wholesale.
Like, fuck, I never
but it's
thought of that.
it's probably the same. It's what we were talking about there a second ago with the guy you met. It's probably very similar, because if you buy, let's say, an agency that has the London office and they've everything in there, they've teams and staff, like the margins go way down it then as well. Like your margins go, like if you're a work from home team and you're boutique, and you can be 75% margin there, whereas when you like go massive into the like Social Chain, where's their like,
They're Manchester based, and then they started a New York office.
but Social Chain will be big, but like because they've the client list that they have. But like, let's say a brand that has an agency that has smaller tier brands but has the same overheads.
Yeah.
So what you're looking at a 10%,
Yeah.
15% max margin
You
there.
have to be
Really.
getting some serious contract value to justify having an office in the middle of New York.
Yeah. So similar with the brand. That's probably what the guy was insinuating that you spoke with.
Yeah. It's a balance, isn't it? Because I often think, fucking hell, I don't want to work from home forever.
I think you get to a point though where
But
you
then in a way I
transition.
do, because I like being able to just fuck off to Bali and shit on a laptop.
But you should be
Yeah.
able to. It's similar to what
Depends what day of the week it is.
said about the agency though. You should be able to get to a place. Say maybe not for the next year, but like if you go and raise for 30 mil, like that's going to give you the capital to then put like because I think there's a Hormozy video where he dives into there's a reason that all big companies have got like management structures, because when you get past a certain level of scale, it's really hard to run a business without having that in place. I don't know if that's always true. Maybe it's not true for ecom, but I think beyond a certain point, there's
Yeah,
a
no,
reason
but it
every
is.
brand, every single business in the world beyond a certain size tends towards a certain structure.
Yeah.
So you'll probably find that yours would do that beyond a certain point. You'd have like your C-suite, then you'd have like.
Well, I spoke to
your
a founder the other
leadership,
day, an
then you'd have
angel, who I just cold reached out to. Then I spoke to him, and that's one of the things he said. He said something like, "I think you're mad if you think you can get past 10 mil with the setup you currently have." Because I was saying I think I can get to 20 mil with just me and 5 freelancers, which is probably pushing it. But I said,
there is exceptions to that.
and he was
rule.
like, "Nah, you don't understand.
There's
You're
exceptions
going to
to that
need
rule.
to get better at hiring and get like proper people." And I was like, "All right, okay, maybe."
It's
Which is what I'm shit at, by the way.
You need,
yeah.
you need to build out teams like we see any of our clients that are doing 10 mil plus, like they have like a department of customer service, like their customer service team could be like 7 people full time.
I still do think a lot of companies have a lot of fluff.
Yeah, they do, definitely.
Oh yeah, of
An
course they do.
office and a fucking pinball machine.
You can be leader.
Well, that's Twitter, like
Yeah.
Twitter.
But then there's also a balance of like culture. Like you still,
Yeah,
once you've got a
yeah.
team, you have
Yeah.
to actually make it somewhere someone wants to be, and it's a lot easier
Yeah.
to do that in an office space. Like we're very protective about our culture in our office in Leeds, because people, like, we don't make people to come to the office, but like loads of people do because they like being there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's quite undervalued. You don't want to take it to Twitter lengths where everybody just does
No,
fucking
that
nothing.
is true. I often think I would
Um,
definitely like to have that setup, but I'm so torn between it.
And it's, but then you
it's
want to get
company culture.
Like an office and shit, because when you don't need it, it's like, I'd quite
Yeah.
like to have it, but do I need to spend fucking 10 grand a month on a London office?
You don't need it, no.
Especially when
Not now.
the entire team of 6 freelancers aren't even in London.
Yeah.
It's like, what, fire everyone and
You-
hire everyone in London?
You're in
Don't
the-
need to.
You're
But
in there
then-
by yourself.
Yeah.
If you look at the very, very top ecom brands, so like Gymshark, there's probably a reason they have a massive head office.
Yeah.
If you look at like
That's it, yeah.
Athletics Greens, probably a reason they have a lot of people in one location.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't find many ecom brands that get to the stage where they're not far off an IPO or at an
Yeah.
IPO stage without the same structure as a more traditional
Just businesses in
high
general.
street brand.
Yeah.
Because
It's not even a brand, that's any business. It's a law firm. It's
Yeah.
like
you
that's-
start getting management issues, HR issues, communication bottlenecks that go
Yeah.
beyond just the fact of like, can you run some ads for me?
yeah.
And like, if you hire 7 people for customer service, then there's someone that needs to report on their efficiency. Then where do they put that data to? How does that feed into like modeling? Like, this
Who's checking their work?
becomes so much more like complex. You probably just want to get to the point where you can have an office. You don't have to be there all the time.
Yes, I've just actually thought. So a guy that he actually invested a small ticket into Space Goods like 3 months ago. He got a fucking deal as well. It was like a little, because he wanted to invest in the previous round, but I didn't let him.
I know who you mean. I think.
So it's the guy that was the CEO of a company called Wiser. I still don't actually really know what
Are
they
they a
do.
clone brand?
No,
No,
they're like a HR. I'm gonna get it wrong.
I
They're
saw, I
like,
saw a guy in
I don't really know. They're
I-
like they've got. There's like a HR business or something like that. He's going to watch this. I don't know. And say I'm wrong, but anyway, he invited me to their office when I first met him. It's in like East London or some shit. It was 150 people. It was a sick office, and I was like, "This is the vibe." And they're
Yeah.
making like multi-mils in profit every year. Like classic, like fucking every girl there is like a 9. Some of the guys were as well, to even it. Like they got a fridge full of just like all the trendiest drinks and shit,
Yeah.
like Trip CBD. All this, like, fucking
That's
hell,
like-
this is an office.
That's like TikTok. Like TikTok
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah.
Some over.
But they're actually making money as well. So it's like, and then I was sat there and I was like, fucking hell, this is the bit of entrepreneurship I'm definitely missing. I'm sick of just staring at a fucking
think-
screen all day.
I think
Yeah.
something you probably not. Another massive tangible benefit to that is like to attract the best people.
Yeah.
You're not going to attract the best people sat behind a. Well, you not beyond a certain point.
Yeah.
Like have it like you almost want to treat your hiring like you treat your marketing for your company. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's like, why should
In
someone
fact,
pick you?
that's
over-
what this company did. They improved the internal brand of big brands.
Yeah.
So they'll go to Tesco and make it more attractive to apply for jobs for Tesco. Something like that.
Yeah.
I might have got that wrong.
So it's like
But, yeah.
it's a massive competitive advantage especially in a highly competitive space to have somewhere sick to go and work that people want to
Yeah.
be, and that
I wanted
gives
to
off a
fucking go and
vibe.
work there. I was like, Christ.
But I think from speaking to people, I think people want to have the option to work from home, but also want
Yeah.
to come to an office. Like, I think people these days want to. You can just like you said there, staring at a screen all day. You can get very bored of working from home fast.
I find it like really draining after a bit.
I love it now, right? But I know most people don't like it.
I can't do it like 5 days a week. I have to get out at some point.
Yeah,
I have to like, I feel like it's just draining after a while, sitting in the same place. I like separating work from where I'm like sleeping and being.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
It's just like,
Although I've been paying for So It Works for 6 months
Yeah,
and
you've
I've
never
been
been.
twice.
yeah, it's a massive waste of money.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a big thing. I agree. Hybrid's the best way because you also get like a lot. Like we were speaking from quite an entrepreneurial standpoint. Like a lot of people go to
Yeah.
work to do a 9 to 5
Yeah.
and enjoy it, and a lot of the people who are like high output remote workers who you might employ now, when you get to like a bigger team, you're gonna have a lot of those people who go to work for not just the money, and they want to be part of like a group of people they can do social stuff with.
Yeah.
And I think you need to find the balance between that to get the right team balance and get the right culture and keep people for a long time.
Yeah.
But
That's very true.
yeah. But probably don't need an office right now. We definitely don't. We got a massive office in Newcastle at that time. For just us two sat behind some tables.
Yeah. That was funny.
When do you need an office though, do you think? Like from your experience in the first 2 brands, like where's the
I mean, ultimately, it's the first thing is there enough people in one location to even to even use an office?
But in London,
because
there will
you
be.
could have but you could have a massive business with 100 employees, and if they're all remote, don't need an office.
It is possible to have that.
You
yeah.
could build £100 million revenue business without an office. Absolute fact.
Yeah, you can.
It's more just like, if I'm based in London and I want to be in one place, why just hire people in London?
I do think
Kind of make more sense time zone wise as well.
I do think 10% of people think that there's 10% of people who are more productive from home. There's 10% of people who are less productive, and then there's like the rest of the people fall into this bracket of like they think they're more productive, but they're probably not.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's probably true. But
Yeah.
I agree. Like
It's about finding the right people, but like, then when you look like, I don't know, I think of a big company, like would Apple be Apple if they're all remote workers?
No.
no.
Do you know? So that's it's when you're thinking bigger, is like, is the office? It doesn't make more sense to just get an office as you grow.
Well, Elon's just brought them back into. He just said like you've got to be back
He
in the
just said
office.
fuck off if you don't.
Yeah, if you don't
come
come back in a week, you're not got a job anymore. And the thing I think
Yeah.
Snapchat just did the same as well.
Yeah.
You have to be back within like certain time frame.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
and it's
yeah.
like the trend away from that idea.
Yeah. So would would Apple be Apple? Like,
I think part of the remote culture, like, and I see a lot of people on Twitter, and like a lot of them are like semi-gurus and shit, and the sort of people that talk about how much money they have but don't actually really work on anything, and like it's all a bit of a facade. There's a lot of those, but like in the whole
can you pass that water?
online business sphere, like the whole e-com community, a lot of like drop shippers and shit, it feels like everyone's trying to get to a point where they don't have to work ASAP, instead of how can I build something magnificent that I can work on for 50 years. Do you know what I mean? I feel like the true entrepreneurs are much rarer, and which I like to think I'm potentially one of them. We actually want to build something sick that you can actually, granted you want to make a load of money along the way and get an exit and all this, but even if you had £1 billion exit, you still want to work on something. Whereas all the sort of more newbie types that are probably less skilled, like the agency, like I don't know, fucking copyright course gurus and shit, all they talk about is how can I get to 10 mil so I can just retire. But it's like, what the fuck would you do with your time?
Not a goal either. Like,
exactly.
I'd find
all the greatest people like Elon Musk don't fucking retire, are they? Granted, he's a very extreme example, but
£44 billion on a business for the crap.
You're still going to want to work, which is where the office thing comes way more relevant. Like,
but even like
I'm going to work from home till I'm 50.
Yeah, but even like not even Elon, but look at like, I don't know, Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah,
like he's not retiring and eating shit and fucking doing nothing.
Tyson Fury's another example of that. He tried to retire 3 times but just can't because he loves
it. Yeah.
It's like a lot of the people, a lot of sportsmen are a pretty good example. Usually the transition. Gary Neville's a good example actually. He's a good example. Like if you're relentless and entrepreneurial and you usually find another pursuit, you love the process of work, not the outcome of what it provides.
I'm going to start a fund called Pool Party Capital when I exit from space. I've already got the domain.
The vision.
That's what's happening. You heard it here first, 5 years before it happens. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? A lot of these wannabe like guru types, just all shill the fucking, if you're not retired by 25 you failed.
I just must.
What the fuck are you doing for the next 70 years, cunt?
Like, where do you get your?
What are you doing on a Monday morning if you've got £1 billion? You're still gonna have to work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the rest of the world's still at work, so you're gonna have to do something. It's
like,
a nice idea to be sitting on a beach all day, but do that for 2 weeks and it's very boring.
It must be so boring not getting fulfillment from what you do as well, and only getting fulfillment from like the outcome of it.
Philanthropy, man. That's where that comes in.
Yeah, exactly, but that's still like a business effectively. It's still an operation. You still have an office for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about you? Where do you see things going over the next like 3 to 5 years and beyond?
Just keep.
Is that too far ahead?
So I don't really. Well, I obviously plan far ahead as best I can, but I just kind of do like month on month. How can I just compound the 10% every month? Just get 10% better every month, and just keep compounding that. And that's kind of where I see the agency, the brands going. I also want to focus massively on the education side from next year as well. Get like a couple of groups going, and just keep compounding things, man.
Why do you want to do the education stuff?
Things enjoyable.
So I take the piss out of my mate Tyler, who has an education company, and I'm like, mate, it's just a course.
Well, we don't.
I mean, his is definitely more than just a course, but
yeah,
like I hear like Forex guys are like, I've got an education company. It's like, no, you sell signals to 15-year-olds.
Yeah,
let's be clear. Not that that's what you're doing.
No, I don't. I would definitely never
where
do
does that
something
slot
like that.
into the?
So firstly,
I just don't know how you manage to do everything, because I struggle with doing one thing.
Because the way we have a structure, it's we do one thing. We increase revenue for ecom brands. So whether that's our own brands, it's our clients' brands, or it's our students' brands, it's the same thing. So we just increase revenue for ecom brands. But we just have different divisions. Like it's just
good way to look at it.
Kept it all.
Yeah, so instead of, you don't look at it as different businesses. It's just kind of different.
Just different
channels,
different divisions under one group.
Yeah, different vehicles to achieving that outcome, I guess.
So yeah, with the education company, that I get a lot of fulfillment from that. Like I'm responsible for a good chunk of people quitting a job that they were very unhappy in, like I was a couple of years ago. Do you know what I mean? So that's good. And then I done an event in my house there about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and like that was fucking very, very enjoyable. Like I still get messages today being like, I learned something on that weekend that I know hit my first 10k month or 5k month or whatever, you know. So
it's a lot more life changing, or tangibly life changing.
Yeah,
I've done it on a micro level.
I should really update my course and flog it more, shouldn't I? Change so many lives.
Well, yeah, definitely. I've helped.
What course is that?
I have an ecom course I did like a year and a half ago.
How to start a brand.
Yeah, and like so many people said it was actually really good, because it fucking is good, because I actually know what I'm talking about. But I'd never push it. I've never updated it.
What's the course like? What is it? Video course?
Video, yeah. So it's called Real Commerce, like idea to launch.
Yeah,
it literally covers everything, because I always found it funny that every course or like just general topic in ecom is all about marketing. No one talks about product, logistics, customer service, admin, like anything else.
That's true. Yeah, I've never saw a course like that.
So
is there another course out there like that?
I don't know. I don't even. It was very much just on the side. But
most of the e-commerce stores or courses start with how to find a winning product.
Yeah,
which by definition means it's already working. So
there's like dropshipping courses everywhere.
Yeah, so I guess it's hard to sell, because I was talking about how to build a brand, or at least like a branded dropship. You know, just something that was of more value. It wasn't a get rich quick, and like the whole thing was, this isn't easy. So it's hard to sell. I mean, I still sold a decent amount of it, but
yeah,
I just don't give a shit, because I'm building space goods. You know what I mean? I'm not here to flog my course, but I probably should, because actually it would help more people if I fucking updated it. And like people message me daily saying, can I pay you for consulting? And I'm like, fuck off. Whereas I probably just should say yes and devote like 2 hours a month to it. Just charge like 50 grand an hour.
Group FAQ.
Yeah, would you not do a group?
So many people have messaged me about this.
Like a 6
I was gonna set up a group.
Should do it.
Just like off the back of the pod, But I just
It's very rewarding. Like I've helped a few mates quit their job. Like gone from like one of them.
because I know that I
Yeah,
can
mate,
help
that-
so many
that's-
people.
that's
One of them
very
was
rewarding.
working in a mental hospital, and now he makes UGC and earns a significant like 5-6 times his salary. And he
Yeah,
absolutely hated his job, and now he
Yeah.
absolutely loves what he does. He has
Yeah.
time freedom. And
Mate,
he can do
I know
he
what it
wants.
feels like to fucking wake up on a Monday morning after and you're just you spent the whole weekend dreading going into your job.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
this is a way of me diverting into I'm going to monetize the fuck out of the podcast and my personal brand, which I've never done before. So we're going to launch a group, an updated course,
consultancy.
sponsors.
VIP consulting, new sponsors. If I'm not driving a fucking pink Urus by March, just off the pod, we're doing something wrong. Just
Yeah.
putting it out there. The course is in the bio, by the way.
Yeah, I do.
So
I do think education businesses get a bit of a bad rap.
they do.
I think.
and
I
I'm
think
jumping on that
I think,
bandwagon.
like, I think,
Sarcastic.
That's because there's so many of them out
you've just
there,
got as long.
It's been ruined by Forex people,
It has.
basically.
and dropshipping.
Yeah,
I think, man.
Forex and dropshipping.
But as
Yeah.
long as you build it from the point of, and you can, I think some of it comes from the fact that you can't guarantee success because you can take the horse to water, but you can't make it drink, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like some people
Yeah.
just physically are not cut out for it,
Yeah.
and you can give them all the tools, but
Yeah.
they still won't do it. You can give them
Yeah.
all the accountability in the world, but they still won't make it work. So there's a factor of that, but I think if you prioritise good customer experience, like with anything, like it's
Yeah.
a very tangible and like high value business in a way. Probably one of the most.
I really should kick it off more because then we can just justify fucking hiring a full-time videographer for the podcast and shit.
And
Because I view
adoption,
this
yeah.
as a separate entity because it is.
Yeah, but yeah, it's cool. I think they're good. I think masterminds in person are cool as well. I bet that was good.
Would you not like? Would you
Tyler
not-
does those. Tyler,
Yeah.
knew my property mate, because he invited me to speak at his recently, and I was like, "What's this?" But then I went, and there was like 20 people that had paid $5,000 to be there for 2 days,
Yeah,
and
it's
they all fucking loved it. And he just made like $100,000.
so engaged in it.
I was
yeah.
like, "Wait a minute."
But it makes sense, mate, because if you've spent years trying to figure something out and you can just give it to them, that's worth $5,000.
This is what
anyway.
Pool Party Social Club is going to be.
It's
This
just
whole
like-
thing that I was playing around with, and then I got too busy building the brand.
It's like expedite their learning process by not making the same mistakes you made,
Yeah.
and you've made bare mistakes.
Yeah,
So,
particularly
like,
me,
You've got,
Europe's most honest man.
you've got plenty of things to expedite that process with.
I couldn't even hire a personal brand agency because they'd be like, "Wait a minute, there's too much wrong here. We can't promote this."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, fuck. Need to think about that. So 20 years. Where do you see yourself?
sweeping.
On a beach.
That's a long way away. To be
It
fair.
was a long way.
20 years, man.
46.
We're all gonna be unemployed over AI anyway. The next couple. The next.
That Chat GPT thing.
So mad.
I literally went on that for the first time today.
You can code Shopify changes. Which is so
Mate, you
mad.
can like. I can't see a
I
copy.
think I was on the wrong thing though because it kept having errors. Or is that? I don't know. Is it like just not perfect?
Are you working with a copywriter?
No. Well, I've got an email guy who's I guess kind of that.
Yeah. Well, like, I can't. We were saying that we were having dinner there. I can just see that AI has basically already wiped out so much copywriting roles because it pumps it out. Didn't you say
The
someone
whole of
done
the
it better?
Philippines must be trembling because
Yeah.
customer service. No, genuinely, though,
yeah. Customer service.
I
is
say that tongue in cheek, but the customer service industry
is a great
it's
example.
gonna be fucked.
Yeah, it's just
It's
answering.
perfect for that because it's
Yeah.
repetitive stuff that needs to have an element of nuance, which this AI apparently can
Yeah,
do.
it does. You can ask it
Yeah.
to say. You can ask it to write statements. I saw someone asking it to write like a poem with a Yorkshire twang, and it was like it was
Really?
perfect. It was so funny. But yeah, there was other ones where it was like there was a couple of threads on Twitter where it was like people who were helping, like people who weren't good at English or like, but like say there were tradesmen that weren't good at English. I'll have a bit more wine, I guess. That's already full.
That's
Have you
my
even
one.
finished your first glass? I've ripped like a glass and a half of this
No.
Gran Reserva Rioja.
They were helping like people who weren't great at English start like businesses in sort of fencing and like really basic, like I guess boring businesses, and they were just like, oh, use this tool to reply to customer service emails and use this tool to like customer emails.
Oh, I saw that.
And they were just like perfect.
There was a
replies.
guy that
And
couldn't
it was like-
type.
it was
Yeah.
like he was typing in what he would have typed in English.
Yeah.
And it was like broken English. It was wrote this like beautifully put together paragraph, and he just
Yeah.
copy and pasted it. And it's like that's only been fed off. Like I don't know what it's been fed. I had access to Twitter's like database and things, so we'll have loads of information. But it's always like from now to when it's mad sophisticated, it won't take as long as you think it will.
Yeah.
Like, it never does it? I can't remember that.
Do you think that's net beneficial for society on like
No.
net negative?
I think they'll have to limit it.
Because I think it's
gonna be
net beneficial to smart people
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
us that know how to leverage shit.
Yeah, it's going to be beneficial to the 1% or the 5% of the world, like that's able to leverage it. But like for jobs and economy, I don't think it's going to be good at all. Like,
I think
They're going to have to bring in universal basic income.
They'll either do that or they'll
Yeah.
have to just regulate it and be like, we're not going to replace those jobs.
That's-
Someone asked it that question. Someone was like, how do you think AI will impact society? And they like gave 3 different answers. It was like, one, it will either have to regulate it, so it can't, like, they'd be like, oh, you can't use AI to do this. Or
I just don't see
which
how
so
that is the
nice.
answer. I think universal basic income would be better.
that's in the Middle East already in a lot of places.
It's in,
I think it makes sense. Didn't Elon Musk say it should happen?
It's quite a few. There's a really famous liberal politician in America who got quite. I think Andrew Yang, maybe. I might have butchered that. He
Yeah.
was a big proponent, but then putting it in place for a country that size is pretty hard.
But then there won't be labour and like there won't be the labour to be done to actually keep the city of London.
I think it's
afloat.
split into like 2 different avenues. Like some people, it would allow them to pursue what they're physically passionate about.
Yeah,
Another 50% of society would just sit and play video games all day, every day, and do nothing.
And probably sadly a larger proportion than we might expect.
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
People would fucking lose the rag, man.
Just no purpose. Yeah, I don't know.
Where is yourself in 20 years?
Billionaire.
Billionaire, philanthropist.
I'm joking. I'm not bothered about being a billionaire.
Just eating
I
mushrooms
think
at a
my
cupboard.
general plan for the next few years: build that fucking brand, get a fat exit. I would like to keep doing the pod, and like that's why I restarted it, because this has become like an outlet that didn't realise I enjoyed until I stopped doing it. Because I convinced myself, okay, I need to focus on just space goods. But actually, I think the pod is net beneficial for that. And I think having an element of a personal brand is going to almost become a requirement to have like a certain amount of leverage in life,
Yeah,
Yeah,
which I think people like Iman have fucking nailed. Like that's one example.
I
absolutely.
think even the creator
But even just on a
led
smaller scale, like personal brand now is just a modern CV.
yeah, it's so
basically.
powerful.
Yeah,
I think creator-led brands are some of the best brands as well. Like Emma Chamberlain's coffee company.
Oh
is
god,
fucking mad.
Oh,
yeah.
So it's
Like
obviously
Tala is another example.
Mr. Beast.
Oh, mate.
So
Yeah, Mr.
sick.
Beast.
There's that agency that specialises in making brands with creators.
Beach
which is
House Group.
such
Beach
good
House Group
business.
is one of them.
Genflow.
They did
They did Shreddy.
oh Gen
Genflow done that, didn't it?
Genflow did Shreddy, and that Beach House Group's a bigger scale. I think I was reading about this. They did that Moon with Kendall Jenner
Yeah, it's
and
just,
a bunch of other ones.
it's just so clever. Just
Yeah,
so
yeah.
simple but so clever.
There's a couple. See a couple people on Twitter that are trying to launch brands like that.
Nick
They're trying to
Sharma
launch.
did it,
Yeah, trying to launch like the influencer
Yeah.
startup brand, like the Genflow model. But that's a tough model as well.
It's massive leverage if you've got someone with a fat engaged audience already.
It's a bit late though as well. It's like a clothing
Yeah.
brand. I mean, like if you're not, if
Yeah,
I think you either need experience or a shitload of cash to make that work.
you
now.
need to have,
or you just have to pick the right person. Like the person has to be big enough for it to work.
you need to have all the connections. You need to have
Yeah, yeah.
designers ready. You need to have supply chain factories ready, like 3PLs ready, warehouse. You need to have the tax, the imports,
You
exports,
basically need a shitload of money and experience.
or
Because that's the only
a
way
system.
to get someone like Justin Bieber to even speak to you, for example.
yeah.
Or the network.
Yeah, basically all three: network, experience, money.
I was actually looking at Hasbullah's merch store yesterday.
Really? The context is a
That's
Hasbulla-
a great brand,
There's a
yeah.
Hasbulla poster in the background. He's got a good personal brand. Probably not monetizing it as well as he could do.
Yeah, but
Sure, he's
he's
making
probably like
millions, man.
he's probably like Hormozy or someone who doesn't really sell anything because they don't sell anything.
Everyone
when
buys.
they do, everyone buys it.
Yeah.
Unlike most personal brands who are just shilling from day one,
Yeah.
which I'm not doing. So when I drop something valuable,
It's just going to print.
Yeah, of course.
we'll make $1 million in a day from the podcast. Imagine. But yeah, I suppose
I think it's a big...
build the brand, sell it.
Personal brand's a good like insurance policy as well.
Personal
If
brand.
everything goes wrong, you can leverage for your personal brand.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, it's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What platform do you see the personal brand growing the most?
Well, the thing is, my whole personal brand, inverted commas, is that I don't have a personal brand. It's just me fucking talking about the most transparent shit. Like, talking about my ex-girlfriend, talking about my mental health, talking about my failed business.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is. I've literally got no skeletons.
Yeah.
But I've also done some cool shit, and like, there's evidence of that as well. So I think the problem with a lot of personal brands is they're so obviously disingenuous and clearly just
An
not
act.
authentic, basically.
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Which works if you want to monetize it in the short term, but yeah, I think like personal brand is just you on a fucking scale that people can look at it. So yeah, probably. I mean, Twitter is the one probably grows the most, and I don't do threads or anything. I just tweet random shit.
You just got 10k followers today.
Yeah,
Big scoop.
Twitter Blue verified. Fucking hell, come on.
$8
Stop paying that.
$8 a month.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool now to not be verified.
I think
Um,
YouTube will keep growing.
I think
the podcast.
YouTube, yeah.
What about,
basically the
Rumble?
podcast? I haven't even looked at it.
I haven't
know what it
either,
is.
but it's just seen a lot of it, right?
Yeah. I think YouTube and the podcast will it's exponential growth. There's no one really doing it that much. And it's.
I'm also just doing it for me because like I do the fucking documenting the journey shit. Like even looking back at that 6 months ago, it's quite interesting.
Hmm.
And I just
I wish I'd done that, man.
you would
over the
never regret documenting more.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
do regret not documenting more of the past 5 years. So now the fact I started doing it properly in the past 6 months.
I found myself on Casey Neistat's channel yesterday. Randomly.
Yeah, classic.
7 years ago, he put his first vlog out. Like going back 7 years, and he has 635 daily vlogs. Right, that something like that. That would be
Yes, your whole life.
Get to like 80, and you watch that when you're mid 30s. That
I
would
used
be
to think this all the
mind-blowing.
time.
And so nice. Like, there's so many things that you just like. I can't remember what I did last Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't be able to be like I did 6 things in a day. I'll maybe
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
one.
I've got
like,
some
big
vlogs
thing.
from 2017, 18, well, 120 actually, on my old channel, which is linked in this channel. And sometimes I just watch them. I'm like, fucking hell, it's like emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just the
yeah.
most basic shit, because you're like, that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's like
Wow.
photos is one thing, but like videoing yourself and everything you do for a day for like 2 years is absolutely
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
So the podcast and yeah, the documenting the fucking business thing. Hope and it will only become classic like Kanye when the brand's $1 billion or whatever. Because then
Yeah.
you'd be like, fuck me.
He's been
Every
cancelled
week.
now.
I mean, well, yeah, more than cancelled.
Absolutely
He's been like,
destroyed.
he's gone. Do
Yeah, that was mad.
you reckon he's being controlled by some puppet and shit? Like,
But you know, the last time Kanye, like when you look at it, the last time when Kanye was on a rampage, he became a billionaire just after that.
Yeah, but he can't. There's no coming back from saying
there's no
you've hit
coming
that.
back from that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a pretty heavy. You know when Alex Jones is uncomfortable when he's saying something, you've probably overstepped a line. Like, the line's probably about 5 miles behind you.
Yeah, legit.
But will he just? I don't know.
He's just.
I think he'll come back and do
so
something. innit?
tapped. Yeah.
I normally ask 3 questions at the end of the pod, and I've forgotten what those fucking questions are because oh no, sorry, I remember the question, and it's become a tradition now, I guess. If you could give 3 bits of advice to your 18-year-old self, knowing what you know now in hindsight, what would they be?
3 bits of advice to my 18-year-old self. Number 1 would be, don't put too much pressure on yourself to like fall into some society role that other people are hoping you fall into. Definitely number 1. Number 2 would be, it will all work out in the future, I think. And number 3, get good friends, man. Just get a good network.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's
Just
a good point.
get good friends, get a good network. Don't be you consciously know the friend group who is good and bad for you. Like just kind of go with your gut and have your good friend group. Like get yourself a good network.
I
So
think those are strong.
What would you say actually? Now we're here, little semi-guest co-host. Never asked you that.
you got put on the spot now, man.
God, probably start earlier. I think that's a good thing. I think similar. I don't know how to word it other than how you've worded it. Like, it'll all work out in the end. Like, don't over stress short term. Like, don't think you have to do everything at 1,000,000 miles an hour quickly. Like, you've got more time than you think.
Yeah.
Because you always think you need to move at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and really, if you zoom out on a longer time frame, you're always making more progress than you think. And then third, I think, is like be present. I think that's a big thing. I think the more present you can be in life, the better. It's really hard to do.
Yeah.
I'm pretty bad at it.
I'm never present.
Me neither, man.
Really bad.
I'm always thinking
it's
about
like-
some fucking girl from 2 weeks
And
ago.
it's like when you actually
Something
spend time. I think it becomes even more important when you've actually had some success, because you always like the carrot always moves. But it's like, if you're actually present, you realise that you've actually got it pretty good in most cases. And You're
Yeah.
actually very lucky
Yeah.
where you are. So I think that's a big thing. And even just like perspective and presence. I think perspective's big as well. Even if you think like, oh, I'm not where I want to be, you're still probably in a better position than a lot of people in society.
Yeah.
Those are probably 3 areas for me. What are yours? I don't even know yours.
Christ, I've answered this before, but it's a quite difficult question on the spot. Yeah, I think I echo what you said. I think arguably the most important thing in life is who you hang around with.
Mm.
And I think it gets more and more important. It's literally the most important thing. And it's like free, I guess. And over time you compound that, because the people you hang around with to begin with will like frame how you think, and then how you think affects what you do, and what you do affects the outcomes. Then more people you meet just affects the whole trajectory of your fucking life.
Yeah.
So it's like so true. So that's probably the first thing. I think just ignore people that try and give you advice that aren't doing what you want to do,
That's
which
a
is a
big
typical
one.
one, but it's just
Getting
so
blitzed.
painfully true. And that's probably your parents. Certainly was in my case. And like teachers and shit. Just try and listen to people, even if it's on a podcast, that are doing shit you want to do, because that's the leverage the internet gives us.
Yeah.
You don't have to listen to people next to you. You can listen to fucking some cunt in Arizona that's doing what you want to do. And I guess third, just think fucking work hard and don't give up. It's just the fundamentals, really,
Yeah.
because it's hard to be good at anything.
Yeah.
But if you just, and I think probably a bigger point is just, I think the best thing you can focus on is winning the day.
Win the morning.
Because you can scare yourself thinking how much you have to fucking do over even a year. But if you just win the day, at least try and win the day every day, and do it 90% of the time, over a year you can do a lot of shit.
Yeah. Compound.
And
One
by
day-
win the day, I just mean fucking do the best you can that day,
Little 5
Move
things.
the
in
needle on
life.
that day. and then do the next day. Don't think about 2 years' time.
Yeah, I agree. Win the morning, win the day. Another one none of us mentioned is fitness and health.
Mm.
Yeah, that.
Getting your diet in check and training is just like a different world mentally when you get that nailed down.
Yeah. I don't understand people that don't train at all. We kind of spoke about this on the previous episode. I went through a semi-fleshy phase, but I was still training. Just wasn't doing cardio.
I'm in that phase at the moment, to be
I
honest.
think everyone should try and do a sub-3 marathon.
It's quick, that.
Just to realise what your body's actually capable of. And your mind, more importantly.
Yeah. Or some sort of big physical challenge.
Yeah, just some sort of intense physical challenge, whether it's like a 2k row or whatever. But still think 2k erg's harder than a sub-3 marathon. Honestly do.
At speed.
Yeah, for sure. Any final comments?
No, I don't think so. Ali?
No. It's been an interesting 3-way dynamic.
Yeah,
Sponsors
first
coming
time
soon.
trying this. On that bombshell, thanks for listening. As always, subscribe to the pod. There is actually consistent episodes coming in this like series 2.1, whatever we're calling it, series 3. That's episode 51. We'll catch you next episode. Cheers for watching. Peace.